Hi there, it's Ange. Thank you for tuning into my station. Thank you for tuning into Starlight Wellness. And today I was guided, as I promised in some of my live feeds, to discuss the topic of who are the 144,000 that's kind of out there in the New Age community, and give an answer to this question. And I'm going to give a quick brief summary of what that means. Then I'm also going to talk about divine purpose, soul purposes, and karma versus dharma, and kind of go over some of the things that are going to be coming out on Starlight Wellness. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope this provides you some guidance, some awareness, and just general information. Who are the 144? So there was a biblical prophecy that 144,000 would return. Now, the 144,000, as I understand from my own soul consciousness stream, are basically, we are beings of the Christ consciousness energy that were activated before 2012 and soon after 2012. So there was 144,000 beings across the planet, spread out, different races, different ages, different denominations. You know, it could be celebrities, could be someone you just don't know, your next door neighbor, and nobody really knew who we were. And we were activated with the Christ consciousness energy. So this is what the return of Christ is actually called. Like, there isn't going to be a full-scale return of Christ. The Christ consciousness energies was spread out between 144,000 beings. So this energy has now come to the planet, and which is so awesome is that this energy stream has now elevated the frequency of other volunteer souls to enter the higher consciousness state. So other souls on the planet said, hey, I want to join in. And basically now there's more than 144,000. And the vibration of the planet, that humanity, that a lot of humanity is vibrating and living at, is fourth dimension. And so people like myself or others are living at a fourth dimension reality. And now we're transitioning out of the 3D into the 4D and into 5D. So there's been a shift. So yay, like we've already transitioned the whole planet into living fourth dimension, which is a huge thing for our human evolution. And now we're getting into 5D. And so there's another wave of people that have joined this initial 144,000 group who can access this source light, who can access the Christ consciousness energy, the heart-centered energy, and are helping elevate other people. So it's kind of like a domino ripple kind of effect thing happening. And so I was guided to come out of my spiritual closet as a being of the 144 because recently I was told that it was safe for me to do so. It was finally safe for me because we had reached enough souls have volunteered and reached the frequency that it was safe for me to come out of, you know, being a being of this light consciousness, which is great. And so, you know, my purpose is to help people with this ascension process, to help tune into their soul authenticity, and to make this process fun. I do feel that there needs to be a lot more joy and a lot more humor involved in this ascension journey and the process, because we're all kind of learning as we go along. And this leads to my second point. So part of my purpose, my soul divine purpose, is to now help people on this process. And this is where I wanted to talk about the difference between karma versus dharma. So karma has this whole fear energy attached to it, and karma happens when we don't follow our dharma. And what is dharma? Our dharma is our soul path, our soul journey, what we are here to do, what passions that ignite our soul, the things that really make us feel attuned with what we are here on the planet to do. So I am following my dharma, and if I do not follow my dharma, then I receive karma, just like anyone else out there. So when you follow your dharma, you can come up with a lot of resistance from people around you or from your old ego paradigm consciousness, because it's trying to resist you from following the dharma. And that's part of following your dharma. You got to kind of push through it. And my dharma is to do and to share wisdom of the higher frequency of an ascension process and of the fifth dimensional life that we're transitioning into on the planet right now. Anything else? Yes, there was one more point I wanted to talk about, and there was two spiritual advisors out there recently that also pointed. So the second Q&A answer I wanted to go over was the topic of positivity out in the New Age community right now. So there's a distortion happening with this positivity, almost like an obsession where, oh, that's not positive, and you know, I only want to be around positivity. And it's actually a lot of the times this distorted positivity is coming from an energy of apathy attached to it, which is a low vibration. And it's actually a form of not being fully present and engaged in your experience and looking at the shadow side of yourself and what's happening on the collective humanity. So this distorted positivity is actually holding a frequency that's keeping the collective consciousness at a very lower energy, and that also needs to be healed. I'm going to give a really awesome relationship to pop culture about this. So if anyone has watched the movie The Island, which came out in the 90s with Leonardo DiCaprio, he goes and travels to Thailand, and he finds this group of people living on a deserted island, living in a paradise on earth. Everything was positive. They did their own fishing, they lived basically organically, and everything was great. Until one day, one of the members of this group was attacked by a shark and had his leg bitten up. He then ended up, suffering and was under severe pain. And the group took him out of the main sleeping quarters so that they don't have to hear him suffer, and they left him in the bush in the forest far away. And then a few days later, they continued living, in their own paradise on earth by removing this individual that was ruining their positivity. So here's a perfect example from pop culture, like a movie, that is an analogy of what this distorted positivity is like. And ultimately, the whole group and their whole system was disassembled, and the whole thing collapsed. And this energy of removing that one individual because it distorted their positivity is a form of apathy. That's an energy of apathy, and that's the distortion of positivity that's in this New Age community, and that's streaming into the collective consciousness right now that needs to be healed. So that's the guidance that I received to help enlighten people on their path to really become present and aware that we are all one. Even if one individual is suffering, that is still something that's happening within our collective consciousness, and that is still something that's happening to you and each and every one of us. So we cannot distort ourselves about what's happening to anyone around us or try to remove them and pretend they don't exist. Okay, that's apathy. That's not a positivity. And so I just wanted to clarify that for anyone who wanted to get more guidance. And also because there was those two spiritual ascension New Age gurus out there who brought this issue up as well. But I wanted to go more in depth into it and bring up that movie because I really think it projects a good explanation as to how this distorted positivity plays out. So feel free to watch The Island with Leonardo DiCaprio if you feel so guided. At the end of this video, I'm also going to bring out the chart. I can't remember who it's made by, but I'll put that in the link below, of the levels of consciousness and what frequency apathy is at, so that people are aware that it's a very low energy vibration. And just to heal it, don't feel guilty about it. Just know that, oh, okay, I'm learning. We're all learning, we're all evolving, and we're all healing these collective behaviors and old paradigms into higher levels of consciousness. So I hope this brings some healing to anyone tuning in. Thank you again for tuning into Starlight Wellness. I hope these Q&As helped anyone on your path. And stay tuned. I'm going to be bringing out a webinar or something to get more of my information out and to update the webinars that are already out. I'm going to be remaking them. So please stay tuned while I work behind the scenes, and I wish you lots of love and lots of presence and, you know, just a joyful ascension process where we're all learning our soul authentic truth. So take care and much love. Ciao.